7:07. If you are a woman, you are effectively working for free for the rest of the year. That's it's a line that's come out of a report that's on the gender pay gap. The report's being released this morning by the Fawcett Society and the TUC. Going to speak to the TUC in around about an hour's time. They say the gap is widening. It means women are still earning just 80p for every pound that's earned by a man. Let's speak to a couple of people about this. Mike Buchanan is the leader of the political party Justice for Men and Boys. He's considering standing as an MP next year. And Lorely Burt is the Liberal Democrat MP for Solihull, also the government's Women in Enterprise champion. Mike, Lorely, good morning to you both.
Yes, good morning, Pete.
Mike, I'm going to come to you first. Just reading a couple of things that you've written. You believe, and I'm presuming this is right from what I've read, that the gender pay gap is a myth, isn't it?
It is. Well, let me put it this way, Pete. The gender pay gap exists, but it's got nothing to do with employers paying women less than men. It has everything to do with the freely made choices of men and women with respect to paid work. Now, men are more willing than women to make the sacrifices necessary to earn higher rates of pay. Those sacrifices include exposure to mental stress, risk, unpleasant working conditions, unsocial working hours, working a long way from home, and so on. While women are concentrated in lines of work which have high levels of applicants for every job, so wages are low in areas like caring, catering, shop work, and so on.
Okay. Lorely, I can hear you reacting. Yeah. I just want to bring you in on this.
Yeah. Well, I'm very sorry for all the men who make all of those sacrifices. If you look at the number of hours that women work, when you take into account the fact that, they tend to spend a lot of their life looking after children and the home. But I think the idea that women choose to be paid less than men is frankly quite ridiculous.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, Lorely, is that they choose to go in lines of work, which because there's a lot of supply of labour, or for every job. It drives down wages. Choices have consequences. If women want to go into lines of work which fit better with their personal lives, they have to expect that there is a penalty to pay for that, and that penalty is lower pay.
Right, so it's women who choose to have children then, and not men, presumably. But women end up generally looking after the children. And childcare is difficult and expensive. When men and women start out in their world of work, then the pay gap is minimal. But as they get older, then one person in the couple has to make the economic sacrifice, and it generally ends up being the woman. But the idea that women choose to go into low-paid employment, it just seems, frankly, quite ridiculous to me.
What's ridiculous, Lorely, is presenting women's freely made choices as sacrifices. I mean, at the end of the day, if women want to make choices, as I say, they have consequences. There is, we published last night a link to a 40-page report by a guy called William Collins, which shows that there is no gender pay gap between the ages of 18 and 40, and in fact, women in their 20s without children earn on average. Well, it is. It's all there. This is all government statistics, and women in their 20s without children earn more than men in their 20s. Now, I don't see you campaigning about that. Women on average in part-time work earn more than men in part-time work. I don't see you campaigning about that.
Okay, well, I just want to clarify something, Mike. Do you think that? Do you think then, if a woman and a man are doing the same job, should they get the same wage?
Of course they should.
Okay.
But the Equal Pay Act, Pete, came in 1970. It's since been rolled into the Equality Act 2010. If employers were paying, were able to get away with paying women less than men, we'd be seeing thousands of equal pay cases, and we're not. It's just absolute nonsense.
It's nonsense, Lorely.
Oh, yeah, so it is. I think that in terms of the same pay for the same job, clearly, you know, for 40 years, that has been the legal requirement. But still, you know, even after all of that time, women are getting paid a lot less than men. And I think
rubbish. Lorely, you are talking rubbish. You know, I mean...
for 81p for every pound, Mike, you know. I mean, those are the figures.
They're in different lines of work. They're working different hours. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, if what you're saying was true, then firms could fire their male employees, replace them with women, and make a lot more money. And they're not doing that.
I think that, you know, some of the things that we as a government have brought in, like shared parental leave, you know, why not let the men take their opportunity to have a share in the childcare, the right to request flexible working?
Because
men don't want to look after the children. Is that what it is,
It's not a question of wanting. I mean, let's look at it another way, that women prefer to take those opportunities more than men, because men are work-centred. Now, in the year 2000, the renowned sociologist Catherine Hackim published a paper on what she called preference theory. Her research showed that while 4 in 7 British men are work-centred, just 1 in 7 British women is work-centred. Now, how could that not lead to a gender pay gap? You know, men work...
Yeah.
So
okay,
sorry, mate. Sorry, Lorely. I just want. Sorry, mate. So you're saying that there is a gender pay gap?
Yes, no, I said that at the outset, Pete. There is a gender pay gap,
right.
But the explanation for it is not what feminists, you know, like the Forces Society, would have you believe. I mean, it's, you know, the feminist interpretation of the gender pay gap, you know, has been debunked countless times. But it's like it's the myth that just won't die.
Okay.
You know, it is nothing whatever to do with employers being able to, you know, paying women less for the same work.
Okay, no.
I think if there were childcare available, which was high quality and was not expensive, I think you would find that gender pay gap diminishing, because I don't think women choose to be paid less than men. You know, they go for work that fits in with their other responsibilities. They don't choose to go to be a shop worker or a carer. They quite like to be a company director.
Lorely, let me tell you exactly who would pay for that low-cost childcare. It'll be men. Men collectively pay 72% of the income taxes, which largely finance the state.
Maybe it would lead to a more equal society. You know, perhaps would you accept that a more equal society would be?
The point I'm making is that 72% of the income taxes paid in this country are paid by men. Men pay £68 billion more.
Men get paid more.
because they work in tougher jobs. They work longer hours.
Oh, I feel sorry for them. I really do. I just think if women have the same opportunities as men, then you would see different things. And I just think, you know, a lot of men do actually want to take a greater role in the upbringing of their children. And the kind of mentality that says, oh, no, men don't want to do that sort of thing, that denies them the ability to look after their children and to bond and to have a life and to have some work-life balance as well. So I don't think you're doing men a service, and I don't think you're doing women a service.
Lorely, thank you very much. Lorely Burt, the Lib Dem MP for Solihull. Mike, thanks for coming on this morning. Good to speak to you.
Thank you, Pete. Pleasure.
Mike Buchanan from Justice for Men and Boys. I'd like to hear from you this morning. Just taking on a point that Mike was making. Do men work harder? Let's hear from you. 03453 009956. 16 minutes past 7 now.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC